Hi everybody, this is Pre-Calculus, and this is a chapter involving solving polynomials, and this is lesson 1. And this lesson covers dividing polynomials. And if you were with me in Algebra 2 last year, we already did this, but I'm just going to work a few problems to show you how to do this. So when we factor a polynomial, we're pulling out the different things that can multiply to equal that. So like if we had x plus 2 times x plus 3, right? Those will be factors. Another way to do that is divide the polynomial by a factor. Let me erase that. So this asks us to divide r to the third minus 12r squared plus 32r minus 15, and we're dividing that by r minus 3. Okay, this is very similar to log division. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at this r, and we're going to figure out what do we have to multiply r times something to get to r to the third. We have to multiply it times r squared. So then we're going to multiply r squared times, so r squared times negative 3, which would be negative 3r squared. Then we're going to multiply r squared times r, which would be r to the third, and that's what we were trying to get. All right, let me erase this extra stuff here. Whoops. Okay, the next step, once we've multiplied, so we divide, we figure out what we have to multiply negative 3 times r times something to get to r to the third. Then we multiply, so we multiplied this out. Next is to subtract. So when we subtract, we're doing algebraic subtraction, so we're just going to change the sign on both of these. That's an important step. All right, so negative r to the third and positive r to the third cancel each other out, and that's what we were trying to do. So now we have positive r squared and negative 12r squared. So positive 3, negative 12 would be negative 9. Okay, then we're going to bring down our next factor. All right, so now we need to see how many times what do we have to multiply r times something to get negative 9r squared, and that would be negative 9r, okay? So once we figured that out, then we're going to go back and we're going to say negative 9r times 3. Negative 3. So negative times the negative will be a positive, and then 9 times 3 is 27r. Okay, so I multiplied that times that. Okay. Next, I'm going to multiply negative 9r times r, and I'm going to get negative 9r times r would be negative 9r squared. Okay, now we subtract, so I'm going to change the signs. That becomes positive, that becomes negative. Now these cancel each other, got rid of that. Now I have 32 minus 27, which will be 5r. Bring down my last factor. Now I have to multiply r times something to get 5r, and that would just be 5, positive 5. Then I multiply positive 5 times negative 3 would be negative 15. Positive 5 times r would be 5r. Then when I subtract, I just change my signs. These two cancel, and these two cancel, and you're done. No remainder on this one. So here is the answer. It's r squared minus 9r plus 5. And if we multiplied that back out times r minus 3, right, then we would come back to where we started. Okay, so we just found the factor for that. When they ask you to divide, that's going to be your answer. It's going to look like that. There's the answer. That one divided out evenly. Sometimes you're going to have a remainder. So let's try one with the remainder. All right, so this one, I've got 4x to the third plus 50x squared plus 105x plus 56 divided by x plus 10. Alright, so my first step is to see how many times do I have to multiply. I'm multiplying x times something to get to 4x to the third. Well, I need the 4, and then I need 2 more x's. Alright, next step is to multiply it by both my factors. So I need my 4x squared times 10, which will be 40x squared, and then I need my 4x squared times x, which would be 4x to the third. Then when I subtract, I'm going to change both my signs. Those were both positive. I made them negative. These cancel each other out, and I have 50 minus 40 would be 10x squared. Bring down my next factor. Okay, now how many times do I have to multiply x to get to 10x squared? Well, I'm going to need 10x. Okay, then my next step is to multiply my 10x times 10. So I'm going to multiply by both factors. So 10x times 10 would be 100. Whoops, that's an x right there. X. Alright, then I multiply 10x times x, which would be 10x squared. Change both my signs. These cancel. 105x minus 100x would be 5x. Bring down my 56. How many times do I have to multiply x to get to 5x? I'm going to do positive 5. 5 times 10 would be 50. 5 times x would be 5x. Change both my signs. These cancel. 56 minus 50 would be 6. My remainder is 6. I don't have any more numbers to bring down. So to write that, you're going to do 6 over whatever you divided by, x plus 10. So this is the answer right here. 4x squared plus 10x plus 5 plus 6 over x plus 10. So that one has a remainder. You're going to end up with a divisor and a remainder. Alright, this one's set up a little bit differently, but it means the exact same thing. This one has 4x to the third minus 3x minus 2 over x plus 1. This just means divided by. Right? So this one also is missing a term. So if we have 4x to the third, remember we have to write these in descending order. We do not have an x squared in this problem. Right? There's no x squared there. So we're going to have to fill that in with a placeholder. So I'm going to put plus 0x squared. Okay? So you have to have a placeholder. You have to have something for each power of x. All right, minus 3x minus 2. See how we go down? 3, 2, 1, 0 on the x. All right, and then my x plus 1 goes over there. All right, so now I'm just going to divide like before. I need to multiply this x times 4x squared to get to 4x to the third. So then I'm going to do my multiplication on both my terms. So I'm going to say 4x squared times 1 would be 4x squared. 4x squared times x would be 4x to the third. Change my signs to negative. Those cancel out. I'm going to have negative 4x squared. Bring down my next term. Now I have to multiply something times x to get to negative 4x squared. That would be negative 4x. So now I'm going to multiply by both my terms. Negative 4x times 1 would be negative 4x. Negative 4x times x would be negative 4x squared. Change both my signs. Alright, so these are going to cancel. Then I'm going to have 4x minus 3x, which would just be 1x. And then I'm going to bring down negative 2. Now I have to multiply x times something to get to x, and that would be just positive 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times x is x. Change both these to negative. Those cancel. And that would be negative 3 is my remainder. So I could write that as plus negative 3 over x plus 10. not x plus 10, x plus 1. There we go. There's my x plus 1 right there. That's where I got that from. It becomes the bottom of your fraction on your answer. So the answer is 4x squared minus 4x plus 1 plus negative 3 over x plus 1. Alright, this one, we do have a couple of missing terms on this one. Alright, so we've got x to the 5th minus, nope, there is no 4th, so I'm going to have to put plus 0x to the 4th. Alright, minus 8x to the 3rd plus 3x squared plus x minus 23. Alright, and this one's a little different because our divisor has x squared instead of just x. So x squared minus 8. Okay, so first thing I need to do is figure out what do I have to multiply. X squared times something makes x to the 5th. That would be x to the 3rd. Okay, my next step is to multiply. I need x to the 3rd times negative 8, which would be negative 8x to the 3rd. And I'm going to put that under my third term, right? So I need like terms together. X to the 3rd times x squared is going to be x to the 5th. Okay, now I change my signs. These are going to cancel, and then those also cancel. Alright, I can't multiply anything to get 0x to the 4, so I don't need that. Alright, so x squared to 3x squared, I'm going to need 3. 3 times 8 is 24, and that will be negative 24. 3 times x squared is negative 3x squared. Right, so I've brought these down. And then I've got my negative 23. Right, so then I'm going to change signs. These are going to cancel. And I'm going to get 1. And then my only term I have left is this positive x. That'll be a positive 1. So my remainder is x plus 1. I can't do x squared into x. Right, it won't work. So that's just part of my remainder right there. So it would be x plus 1 over x squared minus 8, and that would be plus. So the answer to this one is x to the 3rd plus 3 plus x plus 1 over x squared minus 8. It's a little bit different when this is squared over here, but it's the same principle. Alright, we'll try another one. Okay, so we've got 3x to the 5th minus 5x to the 4th plus 0x to the 3rd plus 0x squared. I may not even need these, but I've got them just in case. Plus 2x minus 4 divided by x to the 3rd plus 2. Okay, step 1. How many times do I have to multiply x to the 3rd to get to 3x to the 5th? I'm going to have to multiply by 3, and then I'm going to need x squared gets me from x to the 3rd to x to the 5th. Now I'm going to multiply 3x squared times 2, which would be 6x squared. That's going to go here underneath my x squared. And then 3x squared times x to the 3rd would be 3x to the 5th. Okay, so then I'm going to change my signs. These cancel. When I subtract this one, I end up with negative 6x squared. Okay, I'm going to bring down this term, negative 5x to the 4th. Now I need to multiply x to the 3rd times something to get to negative 5x to the 4th. So I'm going to have to multiply times negative 5, and then 1x will get me from x to the 3rd to x to the 4th. All right, now my next step is to multiply. So I'm going to say negative 5x times 2 would be negative 10x. So that's going to have to go, let's see, I'll have to bring that down. So negative 5 times 2 would be negative 10x. I'm going to go ahead and bring all those down. All right, and then negative 5x times x to the third would be negative 5x to the fourth. All right, now I'm going to change my signs. These cancel. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring this guy down. Subtract right here, or no, that'll be add plus 12x, and then bring down my minus 4. Okay, now I have to multiply x to the third times something. I can't get 6x squared, no matter what I do with that one. So all of this is my remainder. There's nothing more I can divide, because once my degree on whatever I have left is higher than the degree on my divisor, I can't divide anymore. So I'm going to just write plus, and then on my top I have negative 6x squared plus 12x minus 4, and on the bottom I would have x to the third plus 2, right? Because this 3 right here is higher than this 2. Okay, so I can't divide anymore. I know those are a little more difficult. That's as hard as it'll get. That's the hardest example I have. So that's it for this lesson. Thanks for watching.